Throughout British naval history, the name HMS Victory has become synonymous with power, pride, and triumph, but it is a name that has graced more than one ship. While many recognize Admiral Lord Nelson's HMS Victory as the legendary flagship of the Battle of Trafalgar, there were other vessels that bore the same name before her, each contributing to the formidable reputation of the Royal Navy. Among these ships was the HMS Victory, 1737, a magnificent first-rate ship of the line that predated Nelson's famous vessel by decades. She was built to project British dominance at sea, armed with 100 guns and crewed by over 1,000 men. But despite her grandeur, her legacy is overshadowed by tragedy. In 1744, under the command of Admiral Sir John Balchen, this earlier victory was lost to a violent storm in the English Channel, taking with her all hands, including the Admiral himself. This story, while lesser known, is no less significant than the more celebrated histories. It reveals the perilous nature of naval warfare and the sea itself, a stark reminder that behind every triumph lies the constant threat of loss. Through the lives of those who served aboard the ill-fated Victory, and through the personal accounts and naval records that survive, we are given a window into a chapter of naval history where courage met tragedy, and where the name Victory earned its enduring place in the annals of the Royal Navy. This narrative is proudly brought to you by Polly Speaks For You. At Polly Speaks For You, we are committed to empowering individuals, especially those with disabilities or learning challenges, through innovative text-to-speech and voice recognition technology. Polly Speaks For You is more than just software. It's a tool for self-expression, connecting people with the world in meaningful ways. By blending the richness of history with cutting-edge technology, Polly Speaks For You demonstrates that every voice, whether preserving the past or shaping the future, has the potential to inspire. While we strive to make the story engaging, our primary focus is on storytelling itself. The visuals are secondary. We're showcasing the remarkable capabilities of text-to-speech software that bring these stories to life. Admiral Sir John Balchen's life and career were deeply intertwined with the HMS Victory, the ship that ultimately became both his crowning achievement and his tomb. As a 100-gun first-rate ship of the line, the HMS Victory, 1737, was not just a ship. It was a floating fortress, a symbol of British naval power and prestige. The tragedy of her wreck in 1744, with the loss of all hands, including Admiral Balchen, marked the end of a distinguished career in the service of the Royal Navy. The ship and the Admiral, a relationship of legacy and duty. Launch of HMS Victory, 1737. The HMS Victory was launched at Portsmouth in 1737, just as Britain was ramping up its naval power to protect its ever-growing empire and trade routes. At the time of her launch, she was one of the most powerful ships in the world. She was equipped with 100 guns spread across 3 decks, and her crew numbered over 1,000 men. By the time Admiral Sir John Balchen took command of her in 1744, he was one of the Navy's most experienced officers. The ship represented the culmination of British shipbuilding skill, and for Balchen, commanding her was a fitting capstone to a career that had spanned over half a century. The final mission, the Mediterranean convoy. In August 1744, the Admiralty issued orders to Admiral Balchen to command a fleet sent to relieve a British convoy trapped by the French in the River Tagus near Lisbon. Balchen's flagship for this mission was HMS Victory. As part of the Royal Navy's efforts to protect British trade and counter French naval power, Balchen's mission was critical. Naval orders of the time reveal the strategic importance of the fleet under Balchen's command. Admiralty orders, dated August 1, 1744, His Majesty's ship Victory shall lead the fleet to the relief of His Majesty's convoy, now blockaded in the Tagus. You, Admiral Balchen, are hereby charged with all due haste in executing the same. Balchen, ever the steady hand, led the Victory and the fleet with great precision. Contemporary accounts from surviving letters of officers and seamen under his command describe his calm leadership even in times of great stress. One letter from Lieutenant James Wharton, dated September 20th, 1744, to his wife reads, "Admiral Balchen is a figure of steadfastness. His presence calms even the youngest among us. The Victory is no small ship, yet under his command, it feels lighter, as if it sails with the confidence of the man at its helm. The Storm and the Tragedy, October 1744. After successfully relieving the British convoy in the Mediterranean, Balchen and his fleet set sail for home in late September 1744. It was as the Victory entered the English Channel, near the Casquettes, that disaster struck. In October 1744, a fierce storm hit the fleet. Log entries from HMS Victory's final days, found among other ships that survived the storm, describe the deteriorating weather and Balchen's valiant attempts to hold his fleet together. HMS Victory's logbook, last entry, October 3, 1744, wind from the west-southwest, moderate and fair in the morning. At noon, wind freshening. Towards evening, a violent gale, accompanied by rain, with heavy seas, ship rolling greatly. Sounded the depth, but found no bottom. All hands working the pumps. No sight of land. Storm worsening. The Victory struggled against the violent seas, her crew battling the elements through the night. Survivor accounts from sailors on other ships in the fleet describe Admiral Balchen standing firm, rallying his men as the ship was battered by waves. One account from Captain Thomas Grenville, aboard the nearby HMS Kent, who survived the storm, recounted, "Even as we saw the Victory's lanterns disappear into the abyss, none doubted that Admiral Balchen was on his quarterdeck, giving orders. He would never leave his ship, nor his men." Balchen's final hours, though not witnessed, are imagined to have been filled with his characteristic resolve. There is no record of mutiny or disarray aboard the Victory, which speaks to the discipline and trust Balchen instilled in his crew. Aftermath and the loss of HMS Victory. By dawn on October 4th, 1744, the Victory was gone. The storm had driven her onto the Casquettes, a dangerous cluster of rocks near Alderney in the Channel Islands. The entire crew, along with Admiral Balchen, perished. The Victory was lost with over 1,100 souls. No one survived to tell the tale directly from aboard the ship. The loss of HMS Victory sent shockwaves through Britain. The Admiralty's official announcement of the ship's loss read, "It is with deepest sorrow we report that His Majesty's ship Victory, under the command of Admiral Sir John Balchen, has been lost with all hands in the most violent storm. His Majesty's Navy is deprived of one of its bravest and most capable officers." Personal reflections from survivors of the fleet. Among the fleet, few ships survived the storm. The survivors were left with the memory of the Victory disappearing into the storm. One poignant letter from Lieutenant Charles Duncan, written weeks after the loss of the Victory, to a fellow officer, stated, "We were within sight of her, no more than a mile. Then, as the night swallowed her, the sea became a wall of fury. There were no more lights, no more signals. I saw no man leave his post aboard the Victory, for they trusted in Admiral Balchen. God keep his soul and the souls of all aboard." Memorials and legacy. In the aftermath, Admiral Balchen was posthumously honored. A memorial to him was placed in Westminster Abbey, where he was described as a firm friend of valiant seamen and an indefatigable commander, who finished his life with the same steady courage as he lived it. The loss of HMS Victory, 1737, and with it Admiral Balchen, was one of the greatest naval tragedies of its time. For decades after, ships' logs and journals remembered Victory's final voyage as a testament to Balchen's leadership. Though the ship was lost, her memory, tied forever to Admiral Balchen, remained a symbol of British naval resilience. In 2008, the wreck of HMS Victory, 1737, was finally discovered by Odyssey Marine Exploration, and with it, artifacts such as cannons, which helped confirm the ship's identity. Today, the memory of Admiral Balchen and his lost flagship endures, both in history books and in naval tradition. If you're enjoying this story, please remember to hit like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us continue creating content that educates and empowers. To learn more about South Africa's leading accessibility software and to support our dyslexic-friendly initiative, visit www.polispeaks4u.co.za. Drop a comment if you want more information. Thank you for watching this video.